The Gerber dime. It's a really small, I would call it like a micro multi-tool, keychain multi-tool. It gets a lot of attention. It's kind of unique and interesting. I've been looking at it for several years now and just never bought one until recently. In fact, I bought two of them recently. And, I've watched a lot of videos before and after the purchase, and it's just a big mixed bag of just comments and experiences and so forth. Some people have had them for years and years, no problem at all, and they use them all the time. Other people use it one time and the whole thing falls apart. And that was one of the reasons why I had to make sure that when I bought these, the price was right, because I did not want to spend even close to retail. So I got thinking about what kind of task, practical real world task that this little tool can really do, and do it on an ongoing basis and not really stress the tool out. I see some people that are trying to do like ridiculous tasks, like really unrealistic things, and they wonder why their tool is all bent up or why things snap. And I'm sure there's some defective ones that are in the mix there. I'm sure that they're not all abusing their tools, but some of the things I see people do, I'm just like, dude, it's a keychain multi-tool. This thing is really small. It's like barely over 2 ounces. There's just not enough mass. There's not enough steel to handle the job. So why the expectations? But some people do have those. And so here's my short list. This is just a really small sampling of things I came up with in the few hours that I've owned my tool. And I kind of just been, checking things out with the tool. And I'm sure that you could probably add hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of more uses, just depending on what you need to do. But these probably will not stress the tool out. There's a couple of these that probably are not going to be that advised. But if you do it in a very subtle way, if you do it in a manner that isn't going to be stressing the tool out, there's light duty uses for a variety of things. And so let's just go ahead and get into it. The first thing here is that the tool actually has some tweezers. It's kind of hidden in one of the handle scales. When you look at it, you can't even see it, especially if you get the blacked out version. And until I actually read, some of the information on the website from Gerber, I didn't even know about the darn, tweezers. And it's a really good surprise. So with the tweezers, you could remove splinters. That's the first thing. The second is you could also use it to hold something very small. For example, recently I was trying to solder some electrical connections in my car. There was a broken connection. So having something like that to hold the connection could have been helpful. The third thing here with this other tool, this is like a retail package opening tool. And so you could definitely use this to puncture plastic or obviously packaging. And you could also use it to like cut plastic sheeting. If you have the sheeting against a hard surface, you could put the pressure down and pull forward, do like a pull cut, and that would probably work from what I've heard. Also, linoleum. I'm not sure what gauge of linoleum, but people say that it does really well scoring the linoleum, and if it's light gauge linoleum, it just cuts right through it. So that's kind of cool. The next thing here is to use it, this particular tool here on the screen, which is like the flathead screwdriver, as a mini pry bar tool. Now, of course, when I say pry anything, people are like, oh, whoa. But I'm talking about in the use of something very, very low impact. Just for example, sometimes there's like packaging that you're just trying to pop the tab out, and you're talking about a few ounces of pressure at the most. Just things that maybe you just can't get your fingernail in, because maybe your fingernails are like mine, and I cut my nails so short sometimes that I just don't have any fingernails to get tabs out to open packaging. So if you don't want to cut the packaging open, you just want to open it the way it's designed to open, like, opening tabs, that could help you, And of course, you could probably go a little bit more aggressive with the tool too. Maybe there's like a staple or some type of other thing that you can pull out with, and using this particular tool to do that. Let's go to number 6 here. Basically, you could use your scissors here to cut out coupons, ads in the paper, anything else, that is paper you can cut. And that includes also like wrapping paper. If you're like wrapping gifts, you could cut it with the wrapping paper. Obviously, if you had a full-size scissors, it would be a lot easier to do that. But, wrapping paper definitely can be cut with this. In fact, these scissors do a really good job. I took a few catalogs and I just went to town on them. And I cut a whole bunch of pages and it works just fine. Also, you could cut string, So these are just real basic ideas, but I think this is what this kind of multi-tool is made for. This is not meant to be, at least these scissors are not meant to like cut 2-inch rope or something, or seat belts and things. I don't think it's meant for that. The next thing is number 9 here. It says, this is what I wrote down, to make feather sticks. Now, I didn't really try this with this main blade. It is a very small blade, but it's fairly sharp. I did take some real thick cardboard and it cut it pretty easily. So, I wouldn't think it would be that difficult if you had some softer wood to make some feather sticks, So there's one thing. Also to make a shish kebab skewer or multiple skewers. I think you could do that, And then also with your main blade, you could actually cut rope with it. Now, I'm not talking about, once again, a bunch of manila rope, but, some standard gauge, just standard density rope. I don't see what the problem would be. It may dull after a few tries because this steel is, once again, pretty soft. The whole construction seems to be made of soft steel, but it can do something. Definitely can accomplish a few goals. Now, what about the pliers? Now, this definitely could be used to remove small nails, staples, and even if you have like push pins. I've seen some of the really long push pins stuck into like the cork boards. But what happens is they go through where the cork is and they actually get stuck all the way into the backing. And there's typically like a wooden backing behind the cork board in a lot of these boards. And sometimes they're hard to pull out. So you could use, your pliers for that. And also the next thing I have is to use the wire cutter to actually cut the picture wire. If you're hanging a picture, if most of those picture wires are pretty small gauge wire. And so something like this multi-tool could handle things like that. But if we're talking about like 4 gauge cable wire or something, it's just not meant for that. This wire cutter could also deal with some small to medium gauge zip ties. No doubt about it. Maybe even larger zip ties. I haven't tried, but I did try with just a small gauge zip tie that's made for like binding electronic wires behind a TV, and so no problem at all. What about also using these pliers to remove a pot from an open like campfire, for example, like just over an open flame? So you don't actually touch the pot, or you don't get too close so you don't burn yourself. I think so. Sure, I don't think it's a problem. My multi-tool, well, both of them that I got, they came in very good condition. The 2 sides of the plier heads, they perfectly meet in the middle. They're very centered, so I don't see a problem with that at all. So here's basically like 15. It's like roughly 15 examples, practical tasks that your Gerber dime can actually handle. And I wanted to do this because there's been so many people who say that the Gerber dime can't do anything, or it should be able to do everything. And I think that the truth really lies in between there. There's a lot of things it can do. but you just can't expect a lot from such a small tool that really is made of softer material, and the price, even if you paid full retail, it's so low that why would you expect so much out of it? Once again, I got my tools at a really, really low discount. Like, it was like $15 off, which was like, it was well more than 50% off of the actual retail. And so, I mean, for the price that I got mine, I'm like, if it can last a few years just doing some of the tasks that I just named, I'd be really happy. But I have a feeling, though, that it'll last more than a couple of years. Because I live in North America, apparently there's a lifetime warranty on the Gerber dime. So I think the only thing I would be out is probably the shipping cost, just to send it to the warranty claim department from Gerber. And that's it. And I should, I guess, get a new, dime if I ever have a problem. So, it's not all lost. My small investment may end up, being a very smart investment if something like this, this tool, lasts a good amount of years. And then if it does break, I can just get a new replacement. So warranties do matter. And there's quite a few people that have demonstrated that Gerber, they honor their warranty, which is good to know. It's good. I mean, I kind of would expect they would, but if you don't know, you don't know. So I looked into it, and I mean, it looks like that pretty much everybody has had very, very good experience with the warranties. And I'm sure there's a lot of people who don't even mess with warranties. They say it's just not worth their time. But if you have a warranty, why turn around and buy another multi-tool when you just complete the warranty process, and within a couple of weeks, typically, you get a new multi-tool. So anyways, these are my thoughts on this. I would love to maybe pick your brain as well. Is there anything I'm missing? I mean, what would you add to the list of practical tasks that a small multi-tool, especially a very budget multi-tool like the Gerber dime, what would you expect that to be able to do? Or what have you done with the Gerber dime and got away with it, and it hasn't harmed it, and you can, basically repeat that task over and over? What would you recommend, or what would you say to the question at hand? As always, hey, thanks for checking this video out. Thanks for your ongoing support. I'll catch you later.